This is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. This device is brand new at the time of this video, and I wanted to do a quick review and first impressions. I'll be covering hardware upgrades, software improvements, AI features, and camera performance. Do you have the S24 Ultra or maybe an iPhone? Well, hopefully I can help you decide whether it's worth the upgrade. And yes, I am wearing an Apple Watch. You could like both. That's enough of an intro, right? Let's get started. Now this does look a lot like the S24. It has the beautiful looking and feeling titanium body. I think Samsung has the best screens in the business, although I have to say it's kind of boring. I remember being blown away by the S7 Edge and the curved screen back in the day, and they followed that up with the S8 Plus. I think I was really blown away by the S10 too, but now the screens are just flat and boring. They don't have the curve anymore. I have to say I miss that. And from last year, it looks pretty similar. The 6.9-inch display is slightly larger, the screen is ever so slightly brighter, the dimensions changed ever so slightly, just enough so that you'll have to buy a new case. Really, the hardware changes are very incremental. It uses the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, which, yeah, that's definitely a performance upgrade, but will you notice it? I don't know, probably not. I don't notice it when shooting video. Apparently there's hardcore gamers out there on their Galaxy devices, but I don't know, I don't notice the performance upgrade. The battery life and charging speed remains the same, but it's awesome. Anecdotally, I think the battery has been great so far. No complaints here. The S Pen lost its Bluetooth functionality, but are you gonna miss it? I don't know. I feel like most people don't really even use the S Pen. I barely do. Maybe if I want to make a little sketch, but I don't think that it's a huge loss. There have been some changes and tweaks to OneUI 7, and I love OneUI, but you'll see those changes on the S24 and other devices as well. Now I know the camera is important to a lot of people, including myself, so I will go over the differences in the camera, and I'll have some side-by-sides with photos taken from an iPhone 16 Pro Max, just so that there's some basis for comparison. I don't have an S24 lying around. They still have a 200 megapixel primary sensor, and there's a slight upgrade in aperture. The ultra wide did go from 12 megapixel to 50 megapixel, which is pretty big. The telephoto lens too went up to 50 megapixels from 10, with a 5 times optical zoom instead of 3. And the periscope telephoto lens also 50 megapixels, and the front camera remains the same. There's some new AI features enhancing night photos and portrait, and you can shoot video in 8K. We'll get more into the camera later. Now we all know from the keynote that Samsung is focusing heavily on AI, so let's get to the AI features. Samsung added the Now Brief widget. You click this widget and it basically pulls up the weather, a few calendar entries, and an article I'm not interested in. Now you can edit what appears, but I have most of the options checked off already, and I always get just those 3. Really not helpful at all. It's kind of funny, which is why I'm laughing. Then there's Circle to Search, which, I'm sorry, but it's just Google Lens, okay? I mean, sure, you're circling what you want information about, but it's just Google Lens, people. I don't know about you, but I've been using Google Lens for years. I've been using it on my iPhone. The circle aspect is cool, but the feature itself isn't new. So it's not something I would get the phone for, personally. Then there's the Live Translate feature. Now this is pretty cool. I don't know how useful it will be for most people. So I made a phone call, the person on the other end was speaking Russian, and the device translated the conversation both in audio and transcribed text, which I could read on the screen.
Super. We have cold weather today, so I made hot tea to keep warm.
This is a really cool feature, and I can see how it can be useful to some people. I'm not really going to use it, but it actually is pretty cool, so I like that feature a lot. The call transcript and summary feature is really a cool part of it as well. I like that. There's also Drawing Assist and Portrait Studio. I just sketched a quick picture of a cat and it changed it into an actual drawing, whether it's a cartoon or a sketch, and it's a pretty neat feature. And I can take a picture of myself and it can change me into a cartoon or a sketch. Pretty weird looking, but it's cool at the same time. You can also describe an image you want to see using text, and it will create it. Like I had asked for a llama riding a skateboard eating a grapefruit because I'm a weirdo. Overall, I really do like the results I'm getting from all the AI generated images. However, what I'm not that into is that on the bottom left-hand corner of every picture, it actually says AI generated content. And I get it, but I don't like that. I mean, are you really fooling someone? Oh my god, I saw a llama riding a skateboard eating a grapefruit. Really? And no one's gonna think that picture is actually me. So, I get it, but I don't like watermarks. And yeah, I said water, I'm from New York, get over it. Okay, where's my coffee? And of course they have the AI editing tools, like erasing people or objects from images, but everybody has this now. I will say I did have an issue with this though. The first time I tried to use the feature, I tried to erase a bunch of people that it suggested out of the photo, and it just wouldn't do it. It gave me errors when I tried to save it. I did try a few more times, and I was able to successfully delete people. What I did find kind of cool and unique, and I haven't used before, was you can circle an object and then move it around in the picture. That's cool, and I really enjoyed playing with that. Another feature I hadn't seen before, which is really cool, is that you can draw an object into the picture and it interprets it into an actual physical object that looks like it should be in the picture maybe. I spontaneously drew what I thought looked like a flying saucer, and it actually added it into the background. It doesn't look completely realistic, but it's kind of cool. And then I drew a quick house, and it actually made a little house in the background, which looks pretty realistic. It's pretty cool. So I love these toys. Again, I don't know how useful they might be to people. I don't know if people are actually going to use them, but I love playing with them and I think they're great. And you can also pull up Gemini and have it do things like summarize articles, for example. And it's not like AI summaries are a brand new feature, but I like how easy it was to pull up. And summarizing articles is really useful for me. I hate scrolling down with all the pop-ups and videos and everything. There is also Writing Assist in Samsung Notes where it can help you write and summarize and format and do whatever you want with text. So when it comes to all these writing features and even chatting with AI, I personally use ChatGPT, but still it is very valuable to have inside of the native Notes app. But I'm not going to demo it right now in this video because I think it's kind of boring. Let's move on to Audio Eraser. Now that is a cool feature. Now I was very skeptical of this, but I shot a video and you can completely remove voices from the video and it sounds seamless to me. You could also remove background noises. I was playing with it and removing only the background noises, removing only the voices, and then removing everything. Of course, then what's left?
Backcountry child. Backcountry child.
Not only do I think it's a great feature, but I think it may have impressed me more than any of the other features so far. It also may be the one thing I haven't seen in Apple so far, although they don't have an S Pen or an A Pen. So let's get into the camera. I have been taking this device around with me and snapping lots of photos and taking videos. And just like always, the top of the line Samsung Galaxy device is not going to disappoint. I don't like to nitpick too much on this stuff because their camera is just so awesome, but how can you have one of these videos without showing some pictures? Now, I didn't have an S24 Ultra lying around, so I did some side-by-side comparisons with the iPhone 16 Pro Max. I'm also not a professional photographer, so I just took out the phone and snapped a bunch of photos in different conditions without really going crazy into the settings and changing every little thing. I find that most people just take out the phone and start snapping pictures. But let's see how they look. Now, when you have these side-by-side comparisons with the top-of-the-line flagship devices, I do think it can be open to interpretation. Some people may think the Samsung shots are better. Some people may think the iPhone shots are better. And I think there's positives and negatives to each. You can definitely see some differences in color and sharpness, brightness. And there are some shots where I thought the Samsung looked a little nicer, and there's other shots where I thought the iPhone looked a little nicer. Now the Samsung actually zooms in closer than the iPhone, but once you get zoomed in that much, the picture looks horrible anyway in most cases. I thought it was pretty cool how close I could get to the moon, but for the most part things tend to look grainy when you're that close, and I'm not sure if I really even care to be zooming in that much. Now a few years ago I actually stopped purchasing Samsung phones, specifically because when I took pictures of my kids, they would always be blurry. Same thing with pets. Any moving subject would be blurry. And I decided that I'm not going to be able to use a Samsung device until that's fixed. I will have to say they did improve a lot on that. There are also improvements in shooting in low light, which I appreciate as well. But overall, this is a top-of-the-line camera, and even though I was showing the side-by-side comparisons, I'm not really that into nitpicking it that much. The camera's gonna be great. If photos are very important to you and you're taking pictures of your kids or loved ones, I don't think you'll be disappointed in this camera. And I don't even think I'm gonna tell you which photos I think are better overall from the Samsung or the iPhone. Has my mouse been sitting here the entire time? I'm not reshooting this. So this phone has only been out a short time, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Now, should you upgrade? Now, if I had the S24 Ultra, I'm not so sure I would really upgrade to this device. The upgrades are so incremental in the hardware, I don't know if it's really worth it. The camera too, unless you're a professional photographer, you might not really need the upgrade. You probably don't. And I'm pretty sure most of the AI features, if not all of them, will be available for the S24 Ultra. So I think it's kind of hard to build a case to upgrade from the S24 Ultra unless you need the latest and greatest. Should you get this device if you currently have a Pixel? Yes, definitely, yes. It's much better than the Pixel. Should you get this device if you have an iPhone 16 Pro Max or similar iPhone? Well, that's a completely different conversation. I'll have to make a separate video on that. I will say this device is beautiful, it's premium, it's very well constructed, it's worthy of being Samsung's flagship device. If you're looking for an Android phone and you want top of the line, I do think this is it. Well, that does it for this video. A like and subscribe are always appreciated, and thank you so much for watching.